Welcome to our daily Forex market analysis, and this is for trading on May the 12th, 2020. Just a quick disclaimer here before we get started. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. As usual, we'll start off by taking a look at our calendar here. So in terms of news, we didn't have much. It was a relatively slow day on that front. Coming up, though, we have business confidence numbers from Australia. So the Australian numbers have been coming more on the positive side recently, and as a result of that, we have seen Australian dollar go up. So if this continues, and these numbers here, even though they're negative, but if they are higher than this previous number, that will be positive for Australian dollar, and we could see it go up. Overall, in terms of overall view of the markets, a couple of developments here. One, we have been seeing a lot of risk-on environment going into coming into this week. Last week, it was all risk-on environment. Now, the close for the equities markets today hasn't been that great. So there are a couple of things that are playing into that. One is now everybody's waiting to see what happens when the different economies open up. So pretty much everybody around the world is now opening up their economies, and market is waiting to see what happens now. Are we going to see an increase in the cases? We have heard that there was a second wave in China, and then there was an increase in number of cases in South Korea. So we'll see how all of this plays out. So market is kind of at that mode where we may be waiting to see what happens. And then we also have this negative interest rate things going on. So a lot of the traders are pricing in negative interest rates for the US, but Fed so far has basically just been saying that that is not going to happen at this point. They are willing to support the markets. However, negative interest rates are not something that they're looking at this point. So we do hear from Powell later this week on Wednesday, and if that continues to be the stance from Fed, that will be positive for US dollar. So we'll keep that in mind. And then we also have just basically overall what should I say? War, not exactly a war, but basically ECB and Germany are now fighting. ECB is willing to, or threatening to sue Germany over the court ruling that we saw last week. And as a result of that, we are seeing that that is not good for the Eurozone. We'll see how that plays out, but just keep that in mind. So that's what's going on overall in the market. Coming up in terms of news today, tomorrow we do have a few items here. CPI numbers here for the US. As we see, we are looking for or expecting a drop in these numbers. If the data comes in positive here, that will be positive for the equities market. So we need to keep that in mind. We have some FOMC members speaking. We also have the budget here. That is likely to be way more, well, we'll see how that comes out. It should be more negative, more in the deficit now with all the different programs they have been announcing. So if that number is quite a bit larger here, then we could have a negative impact on the US dollar as a result of that. We also have Reserve Bank of New Zealand, again, not expecting an interest rate cut at this time. It's already fairly low. The focus will be more on the monetary policy statement and on comments in regards to what the view is on the economic growth, or how much are they looking at in terms of the negative growth and decline in the market. So that's what we are basically will be looking at, mainly for the stance from Reserve Bank of New Zealand. So let's go on to our charts here. We'll start off with euro dollar. We did see euro go into this resistance here at 1.0850, and since then we have a bearish candle close here, bearish pin bar. So I'm looking for price to drop further here. In terms of a pullback here, I'm looking at 1.0830 level potentially, or even a shallower one at 1.08 0.20. So let's just go with the 30 level here. And then looking for a drop there. So bearish bias here for euro dollar. In terms of the targets here, first target is 1.0765, and should we see a drop below that, 1.0720. So bias is bearish for euro dollar. Pound dollar here, this one is looking bearish as well. We see that price went into this resistance level here, wasn't able to break through that, and now we have seen a decline. So for 3 days in a row, or 4 days in a row, price has held below this resistance level here. So this is looking bearish at this point. Next target here is 1.2265. and then 1.2200. So pound dollar is bearish. Aussie dollar here, same thing. We see that price went into resistance, and then there was a drop from there. So this is looking bearish as well. In terms of our targets here, first target is 0.6430, and then we're looking at 0.6380. So bearish bias here for Aussie dollar as well. New Zealand dollar, this one's looking bearish. This is a nice bearish engulfing candle close here. Next target is 0.6000. So 60 and then 0.5920. So bearish bias here for New Zealand dollar. Dollar CAD here, we did see a move higher in dollar CAD. Just keep in mind price is into resistance. So if it doesn't go to the other side, if it cannot break to the other side, we could see a move lower. But for now, bias is bullish. And first target here is 1.4150. So right now, as we can see, price has been trading in this bit of a range here for a while. It rejected the support, now looking for price to move higher. So bullish bias here for dollar CAD. Silver here. Silver is looking neutral. We do see that price is right into the resistance. It wasn't able to break this resistance on Friday, nor was it able to do that today. So in this case, we are likely to see a drop. So especially if the stock markets drop, I would be looking for silver to drop here as well. We're seeing that these commodities are moving in lockstep with the stock market. So keep an eye on that. So for now, bias is neutral, and I would be looking for a bit of a drop here. 15.20 is the first target. And then second target here is 15. So neutral bias here for silver. Gold here, gold is looking bearish. On Friday, we saw a drop, and today again, there was a drop looking bearish still. Next target is 1688 and then 1680. So bearish bias here for gold. Oil here, oil is going sideways. It's holding on here. It's held below the resistance level, and now we have a bit of triangle going here. So the move that I would expect would be something like this. So bias here is neutral to bearish. Next target, first target is 24, then 22.50. So neutral to bearish for oil. Copper here, copper is looking bearish. We see a railroad tracks. Price went right into this resistance and then has turned around. So looking for a further drop here. In terms of our targets, first target would be 2.30 and then 2.27. So bias is bearish for copper. Bitcoin here, Bitcoin dropped a fair bit on the weekend here. Now we do have a big neutral candle here. At this point, I would look for a retest either of 8380 or 8160. So if it bounces off of this level, we could see a further move up, or I would look for a retest of the low, 8150, and then it could still continue on because now it's filling this inefficient move here. So for now, neutral to bearish bias for Bitcoin. Equities markets here, S&P 500, we have a neutral candle close for the day, and we could see a drop here, so watch out for that. In this case, the target is 2820, so neutral to bearish bias here for S&P 500. Nasdaq here, this one we did see a move higher. It's right into a very important resistance now, with all the or a lot of the tech companies showing positive earnings. We have seen Nasdaq recover quite a bit here. Now, there is a bit of a disconnect between the state of the economy and what the markets are showing us. So after this big long move to the upside, this may be time for price to come back down. So watch out for that. First target here is 9100. And then below that, we are looking at 89, so 9,000. So 9,100 and then 9,000 will be the next two levels for NASDAQ. And then Dow Jones here, this one actually closed in the negative territory here. We see that price is into resistance, and we have a nice bearish candle close, looking for a further drop here. First target is 23,950. And then second target here, 23,650. So bearish bias for Dow Jones. DAX here, this one's looking bearish as well. We see that price held below the resistance level here. So I'm looking for a drop. First target will be the low of today, 10,720. And then below that, we're looking at 10,500. So bearish bias for DAX. FTSE here, this one as well, we see that price tried to go higher, but we do have bearishness in this candle. So I'm looking for a drop. 5850 is the actually first target, 5895. So 5900. Second target would be 5830. So bearish bias for FTSE. And then Nikkei here. Nikkei has actually closed with a bullish close here, but as we can see, price is into resistance. So with this one, I am not convinced that this one will go up. This is a solid resistance level. If it holds below 20,500, I am looking for this one to drop here. So as long as it's below 20,550, essentially, I would look for this one to drop. So right now I'm neutral. Even the candle close for the day is bullish. I would like to see if it holds below 20,550. If it does, I'm looking for a move back into 20,200, and potentially, depending on how the market sentiment is, 19,900. So for now, neutral bias for Nikkei. But should it go through here, then we have room to the upside, and it could go all the way into 21,000. So it's very, this level at 20,500 is very, very important. All right, so that's it for today. You guys have a wonderful trading day, and I'll be back again tomorrow. Bye for now.